As you pointed out earlier on, a number of Eurozone countries are facing financial crisis and the possibility of seeking bailouts. What sort of danger does this pose to Malta? I mean, does this run the risk of depressing the market for Malta as well?
Well, clearly, I think an important discussion, which we are now, I think, in the process of concluding at European level, is the establishment of what is known as the ESM, which is the European Stability Mechanism. Precisely, this mechanism is intended to create a specific fund at a European level to support situations or countries which require what you've termed a bailout, or a situation where they actually require to be supported on because they cannot finance themselves on the market. Clearly, it is a concern. The structure in itself will be a taxing one on the country which will seek the bailout, because it will require from that country to take significant steps in terms of restructuring its economy, bringing it more competitive, reducing significantly its debt levels to make sure that it will in future be able to sustain itself and be able to go to the market. So it's a tough debate which is happening at the European level, because there are severe consequences when a country actually comes on its knees practically to be supported. In terms of our own situation, I think the way we've developed our public debt has been, again, even one of the reasons why we have not faced the same difficulties in other countries. First of all, our debt levels, although still above the 60%, because it's around 69%, still well below the European averages that are being talked about at the moment in the markets. Also, clearly, there is still in the local market a lot of appetite for Maltese government paper, and therefore it is not an issue that when we issue government stocks, they are undersubscribed. They're actually oversubscribed by 100% usually.
And in many cases, domestically
and
subscribed, not internationally
I'd say
placed.
significant domestic. In fact, our public debt, about 96% is domestic debt, which again gives us a high level of stability, that we are not exposed to the, at times, not always justified speculation of the international markets.
Coming back to the financial services sector in Malta, are there any specific areas you see as offering opportunities for growth?
Well, clearly I think there are quite a number of sectors which Malta can continue to grow in. The more evident clearly at the moment is the fund industry. However, we would like to also attract to our shores not merely the fund operators themselves, but also we'd like to see the financial institutions that give also custodian services and other services to the industry itself. We believe that as the sector grows, then obviously the case for these financial institutions to also open up in Malta grows. This is also important also within the European regulatory framework that we see this happening.
I believe at least Deutsche Bank has set up a
Precisely.
custodial
Deutsche
service
Bank
in
has
Malta
now
to start
taken a
off with,
license to
and
be able to
others are
offer it,
interested.
and I am aware that quite a number of others are actually interested. So clearly the fact that the fund industry is growing rapidly will bring the other players, you know, to the jurisdiction. So I think that is very important. The insurance sector is also an area we believe that has bigger potential, and we are seeing indeed growth in the sector. But then there are also other niches which we are seeing also, you know, the startups or growth in cell companies. We're having the first cell company in Malta operated, but quite a number of others that are expressing interest, trusts, you know, so quite a number of varied financial services, institutions and products which are being contemplated or could offer more growth potential.
Would you mind my asking what sort of strategy you would be adopting to enhance this growth?
Clearly, in terms of a strategy, the financial services sector is within the global strategy for 2015 and beyond, which is the national strategy. So clearly the financial services in one of a key of 7 sectors in our economy. And therefore that implies that we need to keep a balance in terms of the way we attract the growth within the sector. Because we wouldn't like to be in a situation where Malta becomes just a financial services center, Then if the first financial crisis coming around the corner, we discover we have nothing else to hold on to. So strategically, as a country, we believe that we need to keep a balanced approach in the way we see the growth happening in the local economy, particularly in the main economic sectors, which are the financial service sector, the higher value-added manufacturing sector, the higher quality tourism that we would require to see in Malta, the ICT and creativity sector, which is indeed, which when you look at them, you realize there are a lot of interlinks between them, because obviously they cross services between them. So clearly we're seeing growth which is happening in these areas. In terms of our strategy, therefore, in terms of the financial services sector, we have a very open approach in terms of the way we look at it with the service providers themselves. And I think the key aspect in this industry is how much you are able to react, and to react fast. It is a highly competitive sector, whether it is tax competition, whether it is the cost structures competition. You have to be very reactive also to what is happening around you out there. So it's not just about having a 5 or a 10-year plan, which is important, and that's this Vision 2015, but which zooms down into what is happening around you and how you are reacting.
So basically a 5-year plan which is flexible enough to
precisely, allow... to be able to
be redirected on regular basis.
And react, precisely. For this purpose, we have instituted, together with the private sector, a body which we call FinanceMalta, which is precisely there to have this open dialogue between government and the institutions that play a role within the financial service sector, and the key players in the sector themselves, to be able to have this open discussion, whether it is about regulation, whether it is about fiscal law, whether it's about other aspects, whether it's about what promotion we need to do and which aspects we need to promote. We have this open forum, which I think is working very well. I think FinanceMalta is doing a very good job also to externalize further Malta internationally. However, always being faithful to the basic principle that when we try to attract the financial services, we want quality and reputation. So it's not about having everyone in Malta. We're too small for that. We're not interested in it. We want the right quality institutions, the right quality players, the higher value-added sectors, which can really contribute internationally from Malta.
To conclude, therefore, what would you say are Malta's strengths in the international market?
Well, first of all, I think it's the ease in which we understand concepts even within the financial sector. This is something I think a lot of international operators, when I meet face to face, find a surprise with. They can easily think of the new products and realize that there is the regulatory framework and the regulatory ability also to adapt to these new proposals that are coming and to the new products that you would be thinking and putting on the market, but to which they want solid regulation. And I think that is very important. The second thing I think which is important is the stability which we have, and therefore which gives a level of assurance also to the operators that they are going to be in a safe and stable environment. This is also very important. Then there are all the other factors, which we've also mentioned in terms of our language skills, our legal system. Well, we have a very competitive tax structure, low cost in terms of operating, the right environment and the quality of life which these operators would look around, and the ability also to provide the skills. This is also very important because many operators, when they think of Malta, and they would usually tend to ask the basic question, but will we find the necessary skills? And I think with both the university, MCAST, and also the partnerships we have with other private institutions providing the skills requirement for the sector, I believe we have the ability to respond to that. Also, the Financial Services Authority has carried out a significant skills assessment to be able to also identify areas where we need to provide more people and therefore to have the training programs for them. And also we've introduced fiscal rules which will encourage also certain specific skills which may not have in Malta, but which are very much important for the financial service sector, to have a tax advantage for them coming into Malta, to be able also therefore to have also the right people that can also continue to develop this industry.
And presumably transfer their skills
Yes, precisely.
at the same
so.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you.